This is Courage Barbell, and I'm your host, Chad Ikes. Tonight's subject is going to be the income gap between men and women, specifically in soccer, specifically to U.S. soccer. Now, this is a touchy subject. It's a touchy subject for some women. It's a touchy subject for some parents of girls, females, women. And I see a lot of people letting their emotions overcome their own logic. And they want there to be a certain outcome, so they play that without ever actually looking into the matter. I have some nieces, one niece that is really good at softball and plays in college and has a full ride scholarship. I would love for her to be able to go into a professional league and make millions of dollars. It's probably not going to happen. There is avenues where she can make a living through this and do well, but it's a little iffy. Either way, I'm glad she's doing that. I'm glad she's getting an education. Even though I wish that she could make millions of dollars, doesn't make this a fact and doesn't make it wrong that she can't. I, throughout my whole life, have been a huge proponent of females in sports. I've been a proponent of everybody playing sports, even the kids that don't really have a lot of athleticism. I think there's a lot that they can learn in sports. I think females in sports, ever since even I was in high school up and through my powerlifting career, I think that's great for women to get out and do these sports, and I think it's great for their self-esteem. I think it's great for their confidence. And that doesn't go just for women. That's everybody. I think sports are great for everybody, like I said. So I am a proponent of sports, and in my chosen career of powerlifting, there's a lot of people, women maybe shouldn't be that big or women shouldn't be that strong. I've always backed them up and said, no, it's great that they do this. I think it's awesome. I've had a lot of female friends that have done powerlifting, and I support it all the way. Like I said, though, there's certain logic in our society. There's certain logic in business. The world is not fairy tale gumdrops, chocolate milk rivers, and rock candy mountains. Okay? Not everything can be perfect. There is no equality in the world that meets everyone to the exact same fairness. If you're born a weak gazelle, a lion is probably going to eat you. He's not going to go, oh, wait a minute, I feel bad for you. Let me go get this other really fast one. No, he's going to get what he can get, the easiest way he can get it. This is a fact. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't fight for what equality we can make, but then again, we need to look at equality. Just because someone makes this amount of money and someone makes this amount of money doesn't mean they should be making the same amount of money. I am also very much for equal pay for equal quality work. If somebody does the exact same quality of work, they've been there the exact same amount of consecutive years or time, they should all get paid the same. It shouldn't matter what color you are, shouldn't matter your sexual preference, shouldn't matter your religion, shouldn't matter your gender, none of that stuff. And I believe in our society, if you actually break it down enough and stop just randomly looking at what you feel and searching for what you want to know and then stopping as soon as you hit that, if you actually take your logical brain and keep looking and finding more and more information, you're going to find that that so-called gap gets closer and closer and closer, and actually can flip-flop where women do make more than men in some areas of business. So, let me get back to the specific topic I want to talk about tonight, which is U.S. soccer. Recently, Megan Rapinoe and Margaret Purce were invited to the White House. I think there might have been other members of the U.S. team too, but they seem to be the main speakers. And President Biden also spoke, and he said the gender gap is real. Okay, well, I'm going to show you not by this evidence. It is not real. It is in fact a lie. So these two women speak, and for some reason, Rapinoe gets a whole lot more press than anyone else. Not quite sure why that is. I have a couple ideas, but that's a different subject. She basically said she's been disrespected and all these horrible things and been treated wrong and unfairly and blah, 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 blah. Playing this whole persona to the media, and the media eats it up and spins it out their way too. When in fact, I'm going to go over some stuff. Now again, we all know when you go through the internet and you start looking stuff up, there's a lot of BS on the internet, and it's hard to weed through it all and find what are the actual facts. So as I go through it, I'm looking for reputable websites or from the information from them. And I went through a bunch of stuff. Anything that's really far out of what the norm that I'm finding is, I kind of throw it out and go, here's what I want. I ended up watching a video by Nate the Lawyer on YouTube, which he did a great job. It was a great video. And a lot of what he was saying is like, okay, these are numbers that I've actually found myself on other sites and looked up in other cases. And so I'm taking a lot of the main stuff from what he said, because it just matched up with the vast majority of kind of the middle of everything that I found. That was kind of a weird explanation. Hopefully you all understand it. The most important part of this is that when women's soccer filed a lawsuit against U.S. Soccer, they claimed that they were being treated unfairly and being paid less by gender. The first red flag of this, and this is a massive red flag, U.S. Soccer offered them the exact same contract as the men. They didn't like it. So if U.S. Soccer is trying to treat them differently and trying to pay them less based on being female, why did they offer them the exact same contract as the men? And if they wanted to be paid exactly what the men were paid, why didn't they take that contract? I mean, that right there should be enough to go, this is BS. But let me take you further into it. I should probably first say that I understand exactly why the women did not take the men's contract, because the men's contract is, unless you're really, really good, it's hard to agree to that contract. So, let's go over what the men get. Basically, the men, it's play or pay. Play and pay. If they don't play, they don't get paid. Period. It's a completely commission-based contract. If you do well, you're going to make good money. You don't do well, you're going to make some money, but probably if you don't play at all, you're not going to make nothing. So they basically get, on games against friendlies, they basically get $17,600. For a tie, they get $8,125. For a loss, they get $5,000. Then when it comes to the World Cup, they have no qualification bonus. But they have a roster bonus of $68,750. They have, if they make the qualifiers, they make $700,000. If they make the semifinals, they get basically $250,000. If they have a win, they basically get $400,000. That's if they win the whole World Cup. They get if after the $250,000 for the semifinals, there's no second place bonus, there's no third place bonus. From that point on, either you have to win it to get that $400,000 bonus. So if they win the World Cup, they can do pretty good, in my mind. But they're horrible. So a lot of these bonuses they don't get. They didn't even make the World Cup, at least not in this year. That's their contract. The women were offered the exact same contract as the men by U.S. Soccer. Okay, the women, here's the women's, this is just their bonus. This is just their bonus contract. For a win, they get $8,500, way less than $17,000. For a tie, they get $1,700, again, way less than $8,000. If they lose, they get $0. Where the men still get $5,000 even if they lose. They do have, if they even just making it to the World Cup, they get $37,500. For the roster bonus, it's $37,500. So the men have 0 qualifying bonus. They have $37,500. The roster bonus goes from 68 for the men to 37 for the women. The women get no qualifying round bonus. They get no semifinal bonus, but they get $110,000 for a World Cup win, which they've won a lot of those lately. I can't even remember how many. For second place, they get $50,000. For third place, they get $25,000. So if you're just looking at these bonuses, these are basically bonuses for the women. For the men, this is your commission. This is it. You can look at that and go, wow, yeah, you're definitely not getting paid the same. But, and this is something people don't talk about, the reason the women did not want the men's contract is because most of the men, well, this is not because, this is additional. Most of the men have contracts with professional teams. So they don't really, their health care and all this other stuff is covered. This is just like something extra for them. Okay, well, that's fine. They have another job. Good for them. The women, they want this to be their full-time gig. So they want all these other normal things that a lot of us get with regular jobs. So let's look at that. 20 players get a base salary of $100,000. The men get 0. 11 players for the, I believe it's the National Women's Soccer League, will get $62,000 to $67,000. Again, men, they get a one-time signing bonus of $230,000. The men get, the women get ticket revenue shares of $150, or not $150, $1.50 per ticket sold. Which still, that could be a pretty good number. Men, they get $5,000 bonuses for first place at the She Believes tournament or the Four Nations tournament. The men, although I don't think they play in those tournaments at all anyway. But still, they're not getting bonuses for winning other tournaments. The women get a severance bonus. The men, nothing. They get injury protection. The men, nothing. They get health, dental, and vision care. The men, nothing. They get pregnancy pay. The men, well, of course, nothing, because despite what everyone wants to think, a man cannot have a baby. Or he cannot be pregnant. They get guaranteed rest time. The men, no. Don't play, don't get paid. They have childcare assistance. The men, nothing. They get partnership bonuses tied to increase in viewership. So if they do generate more viewers, they're going to get a little extra bonus. The men, nothing. Annual payments for use of the player likeness. So if they're promoting them and it's pictures of certain people, they're going to get paid for that. The men, no. Good faith minimum number of games. So that's a good thing because now all these bonuses, they're going to have all these games to put in these bonuses. Again, I don't think the men have anything like that. Then they get a $250,000 to $350,000 post-World Cup tour. The men, nothing. So, really? Unequal pay because they're women? Where? I'm not seeing it. My father was a carpenter for 20 some odd years. ended up having an accident, messed up his knee. Hard for him to keep doing construction. Had some experience in sales, went back into sales. So I learned a lot about what his job was and how he did it, and he was really good at it. And I remember learning about salespeople and commissions. A good salesperson wants 100% commission because they know they're going to get out there. They're confident that they're going to have big sales, and they want the big bonuses. They want to make money. They want to get out and they want to work and they want to earn. Not so good salespeople want less commission and more guaranteed pay. From a company standpoint, if they pay somebody on 100% commission, they have little risk. Like, we're only going to pay this guy if he's selling stuff. And if we end up paying this guy a lot, who cares? Because he sold a lot. Like, so the company is willing to give him more of what he sells because they have less risk. If a guy goes in and goes, man, I need this much base salary and then can I get this much commission? The company's going to be okay, and they're going to look more into his track record and everything else. And now they have a higher risk because maybe this guy gets in there and goes, I'm good with the base pay. He doesn't really work that hard, doesn't try to sell that hard. He doesn't have that much motivation to do a great job. So the company has much more risk. And now they're paying insurance and they're paying a base salary and they're paying all this other stuff that actually adds up. A lot of times your base salary is not even close to what you're actually making. And especially nowadays, if you get full coverage, good healthcare, that's quite a bit of money invested in you, in that employee. So basically what happened here is the women were like, well, we don't know how we're going to do. We'd like to have all this guaranteed stuff. And the U.S. Soccer's like, well, okay, but we can't pay you the same bonuses. We already offered you what the men have and you want security. So your security is going to cost something because it's more risk to us. I hope this makes sense. It's pretty easy stuff to understand. So now like I said, all this extra stuff is a lot of money. Let's look at one of the breakdowns that they did. And I think I believe this one came from the lawsuit that women's soccer filed against U.S. Soccer. And basically when they broke it down, the men's pay was $18 million. The women's pay was $24 million. So the men made $212,000 per game. The women made $220,000 per game. These are rough numbers. So really, the women made more money than the men did. The question here is, men's soccer kind of sucks. They're really not very good. Women's soccer is badass. Like, they're dominant, like a hugely dominant in the World Cup and in the leagues they play in. But they were offered the same as the men. They actually had a contract that they agreed to play and do. So my question is, okay, for all the girls or boys, all the people that look up to the women's soccer team, what message is women's soccer sending out to those kids and those people? It seems to me they're sending out the message of, hey, I can agree to something. I can put my word down and sign my name and say, yes, I like this. I agree to this. I'm going to play for you guys. And then when their feelings start to bother them and they listen to a bunch of the crap that's going on in the world, they can take someone to court and renege on that contract that they signed and agreed to. Is this really a good lesson to be teaching people? I don't think so. You agreed to the contract. You signed the contract. If you're kicking ass and now you think maybe you want a better contract, well then finish the one you have And next time, do a better negotiation. And don't agree to it till you get what you want. On a funny side note, if the women had agreed to the men's contract, they would have made a lot more money. And if the men had the women's contract, they would have made more money. Which this is kind of my example of 100% commission to partial commission. If you're really good, 100% commission is going to be awesome for you. If you're bad, you need that guarantee. So how exactly, again, is women's soccer paid different than men's soccer? At least from the U.S. And the U.S. Soccer is a nonprofit organization. They get all their money from private donors and sponsors and things like that. And all the money comes in as one. It doesn't really come in as, hey, we want money for the men or we want money for the women. It's like, we want to give money to U.S. Soccer. And then, of course, all the winnings, I believe, go through U.S. Soccer and then get divvied out. So, you know, they figure out what they can afford to pay people to continue to make money and support U.S. Soccer and grow it. So I know one of the other questions is going to be, well, what about the professional men and FIFA and the other leagues? Okay, let's talk about that. The Professional Soccer League and FIFA, who puts on the World Cup, is a business. So when they give out the bonuses for the World Cup, they're going to look into how much does men's generate, how much does women's generate. Okay, here's our cost to put all this stuff in. Here's our cost to run this business. We need to make money so we can pay this much to the women. We can pay this much to the men. The fact is, women sports in general do not make as much money as men. More people watch men's than women's. More people buy men's stuff than women's. It's a business. They're paying out how they perceive it to be based on the numbers, just like any other business. The WNBA has not made a profit ever that I know of. And the only reason it's still going is because they're funded by the NBA. Now, let's spin the statistics like the media likes to do so much. So, the WNBA loses money every year, but the women continue to get their salaries. Well, they're getting in general, as a group, I don't know about individuals, they're getting over 100% of the profit and money made by the WNBA. The NBA makes money every year. So the men are not receiving 100+% of the profit. So therefore, women make more than the men in the WNBA than the NBA. They do. They make a higher percentage of the profit than the men do. Well, how is that fair? Like, maybe the women need to give more money back to the NBA. Seriously. Why should the NBA support the WNBA? Now, I'm not saying it's bad or it's wrong, because the NBA wants to do it. That was their choice to do that, and I think that's cool. I think it's cool that they're making so much money and they're profiting so much. They're like, hey, let's help out. Let's try to start a women's league and see if we can make this grow. That's great. Kudos to them for doing that. And I think it's awesome that women are able to make a living doing a sport. But the fact of the matter is, if they're bitching that they're not making the same amount of money, they don't generate the same amount of money. So why should a man lose part of his income to pay for women who are not generating what he's generating? I don't care if you're playing the same sport. And another factor we keep not thinking about, sports are entertainment. They're like singing. They're like movies. It's entertainment value. You get paid based on the money you bring in. I can go to a local bar here and find Joe Schmo, the guitarist, sitting there playing his tunes and rocking out. And this guy probably loves music, and this guy works his ass off. And he's daily grinding, trying to make a living. Well, he's doing the same thing John Mayer's doing. He's playing a guitar and he's singing. Well, why the hell isn't John Mayer kicking some money down to these guys? Why? Because John Mayer got where he's at because he worked for it. Because he had some luck, because he met the right people, because he's better at marketing himself. Who knows? But he earned it. Why should he have to give money to every other guy that wants to be famous down in the bar singing? Apparently, this guy's not as good as John Mayer. Otherwise, he would be doing a little better. Although the music industry is weird. There's a lot of really talented people that aren't making the same money as other people. So you have Joe Schmo, the actor, down at his local theater. Why isn't Christian Bale kicking down some money to help him out? You know, why isn't there this huge pool? Oh, you're an actor? All money goes into the pool and then we divide it out equally. Why? Because that's stupid. That's why. I've worked in a lot of different industries, and other than unions, you get paid based on your work, based on how often you show up, based on how many sick days, based on your knowledge of the job and the quality of work that you do. That's fair. LeBron James is famous. A lot of people like him. I have some issues with him, but that's beside the note. He's one of the best one of the best basketball players of all time. Are you telling me he isn't earning his money? I think the money they make is absolutely ridiculous. That's why I don't do very many professional sports, why I don't watch many professional sports. I think they're completely and utterly overpaid. But in terms of how much money they generate, he is earning his money. Why should he have to help someone else? I happen to be, back in the day, one of the best powerlifters in history. I was putting up world records. I was one of the highest ranked powerlifters. I was about as strong as you could get at the time. I was lucky to make $15,000 or $20,000 a year in sponsors. And I blew through that on my expenses of traveling and everything else way beyond. It actually cost me to be a powerlifter. I paid to break world records. I paid to be one of the best in the world. Well, I'm still a top athlete, still one of the best in the world, just like LeBron James. You know, how come professional football, how come professional basketball and professional baseball aren't helping me out? Like, we're all top athletes, so shouldn't I be getting paid what they get paid? Who the hell's going to pay me? There is no powerlifting league. There are no teams. That's just life. That's part of society. That's just the way it is. I don't understand why this is so hard for people to understand. It isn't about feelings. It's about business. It's about economics. And why should you earn your money and have to give it to somebody else? I mean, I can go on down the line. You know, Joe Schmo that works for the city makes a shit ton of money pouring pavement. There's another guy pouring pavement that doesn't make anywhere near that or have the benefits. Well, okay, why doesn't he have to help him? Why doesn't the city have to kick down money to him so he gets paid equally? Like, this would go on and destroy our economy completely. Here's another fact. Because I don't really like this Megan Rapinoe woman very much. I think she's playing and pandering to the public. I think she's being whiny. And I think she's being negative. And I think she's putting out shit tons of negative energy into the universe. She could be focusing on the positive, but she chooses to focus on the negative. The fact of the matter is, she's worth $3 million. The fact of the matter is, she's been playing soccer and earning $220,000 for a game. She makes well into the six figures to play soccer. Yet she's up there saying she doesn't get any respect and people don't like her and people don't treat her right. You know how many people are going to watch this video? Not that many. You're up. The President Biden ain't talking to me. He's not asking me to come talk at the White House. I don't have millions of followers on social media. If everyone hates you, why do you have millions of followers? If your life is so horrible, why are millions of people wanting to listen to you? If your life's so horrible, why don't you live in a 1,000 square foot house like I do? You have the dream. You're living the dream. They called me a professional power lifter. Yeah, how? I still had jobs. You can actually support yourself and retire playing soccer. Yet instead of focusing on what you have or what you could have, you're focusing on the shit and believing the crap. You want to make more money? You don't think you're making enough money? I'm sure you have all kinds of sponsorship deals already that's on top of this. Do you know how many people would love to play one soccer game a year and make $200,000? Lots. Lots. You have millions of followers. Make a t-shirt and sell it. Bam. Tons of money. Like you have access. You have everything at your fingertips to do whatever you want, basically. You're a king or queen. Like you're on top of the world in my mind. I would love to hear you say how great it actually is and thank people for helping you get there. And if you want equal pay for soccer, then start promoting it and stop ripping it down. You know, back in the 60s, baseball players had regular jobs because they didn't make shit playing baseball. When the NBA started, hell, there were lots of years where they weren't doing shit. They weren't making money. It built up over time. They built a following and they built the business. You women are kicking ass. You're doing awesome. In a time of social media, you can continue to build this and build your league and build your name and build followers and sell more stuff. If you want women's soccer player to make millions of dollars, do that. Keep building it. And then someday women's soccer will make better money. But are you thinking about the future or are you just thinking about what you deserve? This is a very interesting topic for me because I just don't understand. You were offered what I said in the beginning. U.S. Soccer offered you the same contract as the men. Yet you took them to court. You're getting up in front of millions of people and telling a lie. Why? Why can't you just tell the truth? Why can't you be appreciative of what you've achieved? I mean, you say people don't give you respect. Do you think you deserve respect? Like, it seems to me if you had more respect for yourself, you wouldn't be telling these lies. Or at least come up with a good plan of why you don't make it. I mean, the best thing I can see is that you're complaining that FIFA doesn't pay women's champion as much, which wouldn't go to you anyway. It would go to U.S. Soccer, and then it would get trickled down to you through the contract that you choose. But why should FIFA pay women's soccer the same as men's soccer when men's soccer generates way more money for them? Why should the NBA pay women more when the WNBA doesn't generate enough money to even pay the salaries that they pay now? These are serious questions. All right, folks. That's my blue collar take on the whole thing. I should say that, like, I don't understand why they do. They're doing so well, and like I'm looking at this, going, "Wow, man! They're making way more money than I thought they were making. Like, they're doing really good, and they're definitely badass. Like, they're destroying other teams. What have they won? Like 4 World Cups in a row or something? I don't even remember. Like, they're destroying it. They're killing it. They're dominant as hell." What's the problem? I mean, my Lord, what does it take to make some of these people happy? That's crazy. Respect? Like, she's all over the internet. Like, people are paying attention to you, respect or not. Like, you gotta, I mean, that's something. I mean, hell, I'm a poor strength coach. Like, I'll come talk to you. Maybe I'll get a few more followers. Like, I don't understand the I don't get it. I don't get it. And I do wonder if all the women on the team are getting lumped under this same aspect. So, like, I don't even want to say all the women. I only really brought the 2 in that did speak. And of the 2, I know that Megan Rapinoe is, like, more outspoken than any of them. So I don't know. Maybe there are a lot of women on there that are very positive and are very happy with what's going on and just want to keep building women's soccer for the future generations and are happy with what they have. So I don't want to ball all of women's soccer into this. I'm talking specifically about the person that I've seen talking and heard some of the things she said. I do know it was women's soccer that filed the case against, but you know, there could be peer pressure and a lot of different factors in there before I'm willing to say that, all women's soccer is this way. I know for a fact that at least 2 of them are. So anyway, just let's open our minds up. Let's step beyond our feelings and let's look at things logically. And that takes courage. And that's why this is called Courage Unlimited. All right, guys, I'm out. Please like this channel. Please subscribe to this channel. Please comment on this channel. As I said before, going through the internet, having a full-time job and all these other things I got going on and trying to look all this stuff up takes a lot of time. So, you know, I'm trying to put the time in I can to find out the information. If I got some things wrong and you guys know for sure that, please comment on it. Let me know. You know, if you feel differently, let me know. If you feel the same, let me know. Either way, it's gonna kind of help me out. And I'm not in here. I'm not saying I'm doing this completely for everyone else. I'm doing this for 2 reasons. Because I would like to make a living doing something different than what I'm doing right now, except for the strength training part. And because I think that this world, this country specifically, needs to have more courage. And people need to stand up and say what they think and express their opinions. And more than that, we need to have the courage to accept other people's opinions. And at least, even if we don't agree with it, let's think about it. Let's try to get past it. Let's ask questions. Let's discuss things without getting pissed off and angry and refusing to listen to people. Sorry, guys. Done. Out. Catch you later. Please subscribe so you can see the next videos when they come out. All right, guys. Thank you very much for listening, and I am out.